All right. And then we've gotten in, some juices from Rebel Revolution and, Quibus that works with or produces it. He's bringing out a new juice. I'm not sure if it's on the shelf already. So he's bringing out Iron Lady. I think it might be on the shelves like within the next week or so. Um, and then I think the last one that he also released was Viet Cong, which is also one we're going to look at tonight, just really just diving into some of the details around it. And we'll talk about some of the other juices that he'd send in the next show. But I'm going to talk about, my favorite one first, which is Iron Lady. And so, for me, this is the star of the show by far. I really, really like this. You can really see the progress on Rebel Revolution. I made a video about a year ago when I had first seen Rebel coming onto the market. His prices are also pretty good. So he charges $100 for 30 mils, and for 120 mils, it's 260. So that's 120 mils, right? So those are good prices. And Iron Lady, which is what they called Margaret Thatcher. And it was because she was such a tough cookie. I'm still trying to figure out what the link is between, strawberry, nachi, and cream and Margaret Thatcher. Have you figured something out, Richard? I've looked online. I've been thinking about it for like a week straight, and I just can't figure it out. So if anybody knows what the connection is between Margaret Thatcher, cream, nachi, and strawberry, just give it to me. But most of the juices that Revolution Vape bring out has got some kind of catchphrase to them. Of course, this is not on the market yet, so I can't really see anything. What does it read there at the back of the box, Richard? Microphone.
The blurb is Maggie, a rebel in the boys' club.
Yeah, he's got all these funny little things that he writes on the bottle, so it's rather entertaining. But anyway, let's talk about the profile. So for me, this is a winning recipe: sweet and creamy, a sweet and creamy with top notes of nachi and nuances of strawberry. I actually think the strawberry here, for me, was used just to create a dimension to the nachi, right? Opposed to it being a prominent flavor with the nachi. That's what I'm experiencing. Or maybe it was used here because the nachi might just be a little bit linear in the mix. Then it would just be a sweet cream and just a nachi with it. So strawberry adds a bit of a different dimension, but it certainly isn't the star of the show. The nachi here is the star of the show. Okay, it kind of so like I said, it bends the nachi a little bit. But in all honesty, this is my most favorite juice out of his recent releases. By far the best for me. He should be very proud of this one. It's very unique because the profile is not something I've seen on a shelf. Nachi, strawberry, and cream who would think of putting those together? I haven't seen a profile like that. And yeah, it works. I'm happy with it. What did you think, Richard?
I didn't know Rebel at all before receiving these juices, so I came in totally fresh to the whole thing. For me, this represents a little bit of a departure for him because the other juices that we received for testing were all mixes of three fruits. There's no bakery elements, no candy elements, no cream elements. It's just straight three fruit mixes. Now this one is two fruits, strawberry and nachi with a cream backing, which is a little bit different from a three fruit mix. What I got the same as you. The strawberry isn't a prominent note. It's not even really a detectable note in this. What I got from this very, very strongly was that feeling of sports drink nachi. I don't know if isotonic game is still a thing, but isotonic game used to have a nachi flavor, and that is the exact nachi that I'm getting from this.
Yeah, you're
Just to
right.
show that
You're right. Now that you say it definitely is that Energade Nachi.
exactly.
Yeah.
Just to show the packaging a bit, there we've got the box. It's very, very busy packaging. There's a lot of text on the box, disclaimers, busy graphics and so on. Bottles, it just comes in the standard 30 ml chubby. The packaging is, I wouldn't say it's clean. It's very busy, very colorful. And he does bring in these really strange associations with countries and people and so on that I'm not really sure where they're coming from, but it does kind of work as a brand. You get a few smiles reading through the things and seeing it.
Yeah, 100%.
Where this juice, for me, where it differs from the others, and this could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. Whenever I look at a three fruit mix, I'm looking for something that is more than the sum of the parts.
Mm.
The one of Wayne's mixing contests had a three fruit round where everybody had to submit a fruit juice, and it had to be three different fruits, and there were no creams, no bakeries, no nothing, just three fruits on their own. And the killer mixes there are ones where you're not saying afterwards, oh, it's a strawberry with apple with it or whatever. What happens is the three fruits blend together to give you something that transcends the three individual flavors. And I think that's where ML Nikon's Inagata Davida mix scored so well, is that it gives you something that goes beyond what the three flavors do. Now, with this one, I'm not getting that much. What I'm getting is that very prominent nachi note, that isotonic game nachi note. The cream, is such as it is quite light, and it kicks in on the exhale. But the takeaway that I'm getting from this is that coating at the back of the throat that you get from those nachi energy drinks. I think as a profile, it works really well. There's no off notes in it. It's an easy vape. It's something that I could vape, all day. It's smooth. It's mellow. It's blended nicely. What I'm missing from it though is that X factor where the strawberry and the nachi combine to give me something that I didn't expect, or something that I hadn't tasted before. This is discernibly a nachi. The strawberry, probably the EM in the strawberry mellows it out. It takes away some of that zesty flavor that you get with the nachi, and you're left with an overall very mellow and sweet nachi with the cream on the exhale, which works very well, but it doesn't push me into that new territory as much as the next one that we're going to review does, which I'll hand over to you for that now.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, it's one of those shows where we, for me, let's talk about Viet Cong. Okay, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Viet Cong was released at the last VapeCon, or just after that. Don't quote me on that because I could be completely wrong. So it's been in the market for a while, but I think of course, it was released before, just before, Iron Lady has now recently been released, and Viet Cong was the previous one that was released, as I believe. Um, but this here is dragon fruit, kiwi, and raspberry. Now, you know, this is, of course, three fruit. Now, I'm not really a massive fan of any of those fruits, to be honest. I'm not a big raspberry guy. I'm not a big kiwi guy. I'm not a big dragon fruit guy. So immediately, um, it had to transcend for me into something quite spectacular, and that for my palate to like this. The recipe is nicely balanced. I didn't feel that the raspberry or the kiwi or the dragon fruit um, was kind of overpowering the other fruits entirely. Um, but I'm not personally a big dragon fruit fan. Um, I like the fruit, but I'm not sure why I don't like to vape it. It's just really bizarre. Um, it's not as sweet as Iron Lady, and I've got a sweet tooth as well. So, yeah, if I had to compare the two, Iron Lady for me is definitely with the one that I would pick above Viet Cong.
Okay, my take was again a little bit different. Um, what I get from this is primarily a raspberry, but the dragon fruit and the kiwi move it sufficiently away from that classic inner potent inner raspberry Malina flavor, as well as FA Beryl raspberry, that I'm getting something that I feel is new here. This again was probably a little bit too sweet for me. That it is what it is. I don't go for sweetener much, but I this was an intriguing recipe for me. I think it's the kiwi that's adding to the raspberry more than the dragon fruit. I think the dragon fruit is in here just primarily to blend the flavors together, but most of the flavor I'm getting is from the raspberry and the kiwi. And it's a very mild vape. I'm not really getting the connection with Viet Cong. I mean, the
No,
blurb is "Me love you long time, number one, fruity juicy," which
let me read
has
you
this.
this thing. So online it says there Viet Cong is dragon fruit, raspberry, and kiwi. Is dragon fruit, raspberry, and kiwi vape juice. Vietnam is one of the largest exporters of dragon fruit in the world. They also played hide and seek with Yankees and won. Number one, fruity juicy. So
Yeah,
that's the connection.
yeah. The connection for me, if this was a primarily dragon fruit vape,
Mm,
I would see that. But for me, it's a raspberry vape. Now, I don't know
mm.
if my taste buds are broken, whether he intended it that way. But I'm getting the raspberry note is the most discernible
Mm,
of the three for me. The other thing I don't get is that I associate Viet Cong with exotics.
mm,
I'd be looking for a spicy or a cold or a very exotic, like a mango, pineapple type of thing. The raspberry is quite mellow for me.
mm,
It comes across as a very well blended, quite sweet, quite mellow. Where for Oriental, I'd be looking more, sort of spicy, exotic.
mm.
So I'm not really getting that. The other thing, number one, fruity, juicy. For me, this isn't that juicy. It's a more solid-bodied, syrupy kind of vape. What sort of wetness level are you getting from this? Does it register as a juice for you?
Um, to be honest, you know, I don't know if it's um, because I'm so used to sweeteners, um, and for me, that sweetness is what triggers my saliva. And that's for me what a juicy experience really is, right? But because this one wasn't so sweet for me, it didn't trigger that. So I experienced it just as a normal vape and not that juicy. Mm,
To me, it comes across as a candy syrup, more like.
Mm.
It's almost like a thick raspberry candy syrup that you know that you
Put on ice cream or
layer
something.
layer over an ice cream. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's got quite a lot of body to it, which I like
Mm.
because you know three three fruit juices are not my favorite vape. I'm all about
Creaminess
that
and
that
flavor.
bulk
Yeah.
in the vape. That's why I like bakeries. You get that feeling of substance in the vape that you're actually vaping something solid, not
Mm.
something ethereal. And fruit juices for me are too often thin and astringent,
Mm.
which is why I was pleasantly pleased by these because they're mellow. There is good body to them as far as fruits go. I mean, you're never going to get a cheesecake out of a three fruit mix, but they do have good body as far as fruit mixes go. Um, but I felt that it it's not authentic fruit and it's not a juice. It goes into a sort of candy syrup vibe,
Mm.
which is fine. I mean, I like candy syrups. It's a pleasing vape to have. But it just doesn't really gel with the description for me. Number one,
Mm.
fruity, juicy. I would be looking at something a lot wetter
Mm.
as as a fruit juice. But it's a pleasing vape.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong here. But for me, between the two, what would you say? Would you rather go for Iron Lady or would you rather go for Viet Cong?
Viet Cong for me simply because it's got that thing that I'm looking for in a juice where
Mm.
it's not just a raspberry, it's more than that. Iron Lady for me is a nachi cream,
Yeah.
which is fine. Nachi cream is good. And again, it has that body which the cream adds. It's not an excessively thick cream. It's a very lightly layered
Mm.
cream, but it just adds that little bit of substance that I'm looking for in a vape, which I don't
Mm.
get from pure fruits.
Beer
So
fruits.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Iron Lady. It's a great vape, but in terms of intrigue from the flavor, the one that has me thinking more, what note is it that I'm getting on that puff, and is it now a different note on this puff? The Viet Cong kind of does that because I get raspberry, and then just a whiff on the exhale, you suddenly, oh, there's the kiwi coming through. And then
Yeah.
on the next drag, you feel, oh, there's a little bit of the dragon fruit in there. So this
As
one
you're
is the more
thinking.
intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Viet Cong for me is the more intriguing vape. This is the one that I could vape for longer without feeling, okay, now I know this, I know
Mm.
every note in this juice.
Yeah. And for me, of course, it's Iron Lady because I like a I like a nice bright, uh, full-bodied fruit. Um, and everything that comes with the fruit, that sweetness, um, that whole experience of it, and then layered with the cream in there just to give it more body, make it fleshy. That for me is the guy here. But yeah, guys, please go and check online Revolution Vape. They've got their own Shopify store as well if you need to go and get these. The prices are good as well. Um, like I said, I can't see the prices here for 60 mil, but for 30 mils, you are going to pay $100, and for 120 mils, you are going to pay $260. So I think those are really good prices. All right, it's pretty much the end of our show. Please, guys, please remember to comment below if you've gotten these juices, or if anything, if you would like to comment about anything in the show, leave the comment and we'll get back to you guys. Thank you so much for watching.